My beloved ones, my name is Algimantas. I live in Lithuania, and I present to you now this teaching on Creator's Providence. I hope quite many of you have heard this word, providence. So what is providence? Is it a theoretical notion only, concept? Or is it a really existing some sort of spiritual beings, a collective of spiritual beings? So I do desire to expand your outlook on Creator's providence. We, in this world, we begin our journey to paradise, which is the very center of the whole of creation. It's the dwelling abode of Creator Himself and our destiny, which is bestowed by Creator upon the whole of humanity, upon the whole of the planet we inhabit right now, as our original and the very first world on the way to implementing our destiny. So once we begin to ponder upon spiritual things that our material vision cannot see, quite a lot we might evidence, we might have some proof of real existence of some beings, of some phenomena beyond the scope of our material vision. So this we take by our faith, and the more our spiritual insight develops, the more we are conscious of such beings and of their real presence around us. And this presence is not only a theoretical issue, but also a practical assistance on the part of Creator's providence rendered to us mortals on this world. So Creator's providence is a huge collective of spiritual beings that are being given by Creator Himself to our assistance, so that we would begin to cooperate in our spiritual life with these invisible to our material eyes spiritual personalities who really exist in our environment and who desire that we would open up to Creator Himself in a much deeper way, in a much more sincere way, so that we would not experience any fear in any circumstances, so that we would begin to show ever deeper trust in Creator and in providence. But first we have to know at least something about a real existence of Creator's providence. Until now, nobody has given us such knowledge. Humanity is ignorant what concerns any knowledge about Creator's providence. Therefore, without knowing the providence, we cannot even believe it's real, but it is. Therefore, I hope you will receive this information from my lips right now, I do believe that you know such a word as angels. Angels, seraphim, guardian angels. So this has been passed. I mean, the term has been passed by some spiritual, the so-called Holy Scriptures. Therefore, we do know this term. We do know that angels do exist, even though we do not see them with our material vision. On the other hand, some people who deny the existence of Creator at all, they deny the existence of angels and consider it's only man's invention. Simply, it's man's fancies. Therefore, what I'm presenting right now, this information, is meant for sincere truth seekers, not those who are skeptical about anything what is developing beyond their material vision, because they need in every possible circumstance to be given material evidence that they would really be able to touch this proof of any phenomenon or any being. But Providence, nevertheless, is real and operating to assist us in our spiritual expansion of our own selves, of our own identities, of our personalities. Like anywhere on our world, people are being taught certain professions, certain skills by some qualified teachers. Otherwise, they would not be able to accumulate any knowledge, even at school or within family. Kids and even bigger children receive some knowledge at first from their parents. So parents act as their teachers, and later on they receive more sophisticated information at high school from their teachers in different subjects. So that means that first goes as a priority theoretical presentation of some information. Without this theoretical knowledge, it is impossible to test it in practice, in our lives. The same is with the existence of Providence. It is meant to operate around us so that we would be able, once we are on the so-called living path in search of Creator Himself, so we might even begin to feel some real existence of invisible beings around us by some operation on their part, that we might notice that something might happen like a miracle to us. Like, say, all of a sudden an accident might have occurred, but some force managed to prevent it from happening. Some being invisible to our material vision has stopped us from falling, once otherwise we should have lost the balance of the material body, and that would have resulted in a catastrophe to our material flesh. Such episodes might be encountered by many of us, but we consider that it was just a lucky chance that we escaped some grave consequences once we found ourselves in some critical situations. But in this case, there might be the operation of such beings which are called midwares or midway creatures. They're also invisible to our material eyesight, but nevertheless, they exist on our planet, and they are actually permanent inhabitants on this planet because they have been staying here for scores of thousands of years. Once they have been created, they are still operating on our planet. They have never experienced the so-called material death that human body, human material flesh experiences after a very short span of time spent on this planet. So midwares have this name because they are, even though invisible to our eyes, between the lowest of spiritual beings, our angels, guardians, and us as material human beings. Even though as personalities we are not this material flesh, we are spiritual personalities. Only as we are on the very first world, on the way to the implementation of our destiny to reach our parents on Paradise, to reach the very source and center of spiritual personalities. So we have this initial form, which is called a material body. It's our flesh, just to host our spiritual personality. So midwares are in between us mortals, having a material flesh, a material body, and the lowest among spiritual beings, our angels, guardians. But they can perform a lot of material functions on our world. I mean, midwares. Especially they are active once people find themselves in some critical circumstances, in critical situations, like during earthquakes or huge overflooding of large territories, or during some storms. And in this case, once people sincerely pray for assistance on the part of Creator, so Creator himself is not acting personally. He has a lot of his sons and daughters who, as a collective, has this name, Providence. So Creator is using his providence to render assistance in response to man's sincere petition, sincere prayer for some help. And midwares are the closest to us. Therefore, there might be episodes when midwares have a certain task, a certain mission to perform and they might even acquire a human body, a human visual body, and even the body you as mortals might touch. And this is also assistance on the part of the Providence, because if we humans hear somebody speak out to us without being seen by our eyes, we would be scared just to hear such a voice without any form. Therefore, midwares, in order to perform certain tasks, they might even deal with us mortals like other mortals. We will not be able to distinguish from normal standard human beings these midwares incarnated in the form of a human being. So, since this is the closest personalities to human beings operating on our planet, we might also begin to cooperate with such beings as midwares. Quite many of you must have heard about such a phenomenon as evil spirits that begin to possess human mind. So in this case, right now, it is not the fact. It's more of a huge power of man's subconsciousness, which is really immense. And this energy power is detrimental to man if man's subconsciousness is not cleaned. So when Jesus lived 2,000 years ago, there were lots of episodes when weaker minds have been possessed by demons. And that was the operation on the part of midwares affecting human mind. That was revolting midwares against the Father's will. They followed Lucifer's and Satan's rebellion against the Father. And our former spiritual leader, the leader of our planet, the spiritual leader of humanity, Caligastia, joined this revolt against the Father. So midwares, part of them, were also betrayers of Creator. And they joined Caligastia and his team that, in a way, fell to abyss of darkness and insanity. So these midwares were possessing human mind, a weaker mind, because all the same human will dominates any other will. But a weaker mind, like the mind of the animal, might also be possessed by the influence of midwares energy. So in this case, demons in the times of Jesus were really possessing weaker mortals. But after Jesus completed his mission successfully on this world, all midwares were organized into a certain unit, and now this unit is being operated under the leadership of certain personalities. Therefore, they cannot possess even a weaker mind of mortals anymore. So if there are some cases when people consider that this or that person is possessed by evil spirits, it is not truth. It is only man's ignorance that leads to this sort of conclusion. Midwayers now are coming to human assistance every time this assistance is required by a sincere prayer on the part of a human being. On the other hand, we have a lot of different spiritual beings that also included in the providence, and they act as our teachers whom we do not see, but the consequences of their operation, our mind, which is being ever more spiritualized, can trace around us. Like we claim that people who have a strong faith in Creator, they see the image of Creator in everything around on the material planet. So those deep-minded humans, they trace the signs of the operation of such invisible spiritual personalities from the providence by some signs. And these signs might be some feeling within that you are being prompted which way to choose when you stand at an intersection. Intersection, I mean your spiritual life, when you have to choose between evil and goodness, between right and wrong. So some beings from the providence help you choose just the right decision by showing you a nice projection of some vision within your mind, and it might last just a couple of seconds, but that would give you a deep teaching which choice to make. In a way, the more we are experienced on the living path, the more we are in a living communion with Creator, the more we are conscious of the presence of the members of the Providence team around us in our lives, and we begin to feel that we do desire to cooperate with these invisible personalities. We begin to feel a desire and love for them, that we do experience their presence, and we consider them as our brethren, and we do desire to have some common activity for the benefit of all. Therefore, quite often, sincere believers begin to pray for some cooperation with the members of the Providence, that humanity would turn into an ever better humanity. And we ask in our prayers that we might cooperate with the Providence by our own actions, by our own material deeds, or whatever might be our deeds. We do desire to be as a collective of the Providence, which renders assistance and support to humanity to get enlightened for the benefit of the whole. So in this case, we are not scared by the invisible beings, but we begin to feel a big affection for those invisible personalities. And we do desire to express our gratitude, thanks to them for their participation in Creator's evolution, in assisting us while we are also making our own personal contribution to Creator's evolution, to the implementation of the Creator's evolutionary plan, both on the scale of the whole of creation and on the scale of our planet. Thus, Providence, you should just have in mind, is a real collective of such beings that Creator provides to every planet inhabited by humans. Because humans, due to the very first step on the living path, they have no knowledge about creation, about Creator. Therefore, they have no information on the existence of the Providence at all. Therefore, they need to be assisted in this field. And therefore, the Providence is coming to our assistance. And even now, when you hear my teaching, I'm acting as a member of the Providence, whom you can hear and see. But in this case, I'm performing the same assistance like invisible creatures perform to me when I'm asking in my prayers that everything I'm doing, I would be supported by the Providence, so that I would be stronger in whatever I'm doing every day for the benefit of Creator, for the benefit of all, for the benefit of the whole of creation. And this is also the vector of activity for the Providence, for the whole of creation, just to enlighten the whole of creation, each segment of creation. So now this segment is our world, is humanity, which is submerged in complete darkness because the material mind of individuals is degrading because there is no spiritual leading. That's why we need to be taught certain lessons Because without spiritual teaching, humanity will destroy even that highly developed material civilization. Therefore, the operation of Creator's providence is meant to prevent the destruction of the civilization. It is meant to enlighten the mankind so that all the civilization would be based on Creator's spiritual foundation, which is the most solid and changeless. So the providence is always acting for the benefit of Creator, for the benefit of all. Therefore, when I go on my life as a spiritual teacher, and even as the one who trains spiritual teachers, and while presenting even this teaching to you, I'm really a full-fledged member of the providence, just to lead you into a brighter light within you by giving you a certain vector of thinking so that you would be able to make your own decision, to make your own choice. It's up to you which way you would proceed. But once you know the information, what I've just given you, you will be more confident to make a choice, because you would know that by making this choice for the benefit of all, you assist Creator's providence, that it would be easier for the providence to reach your heart, to reach you personally, that you would begin to feel Creator Himself within, so that you would open up to Creator, that you would develop your personal desire to drink this living water from Creator and begin to share the love you begin to feel from Creator with others. And while sharing your love, you would also render a lot of good deeds for the benefit of all. And this is because Creator's providence is also playing its own and very significant part to strengthen you, like it has played a very influential part in my life to strengthen me, that I would choose this spiritual path and begin to enlighten people, because I realized that I should share all the knowledge I've received from the Revelation book, which is called the Book of Urantia. So I realized once I have this information, and once I have this in-depth vision and insight, that without first spiritual teachers, humanity would ruin itself. It is impossible to preserve civilization without spiritual enlightenment. Therefore, I gave up my work as a political analyst in television and took up this living spiritual path to enlighten people. And therefore, I started just leaning upon the leading of Creator Himself. And I have nobody else whom I should lean upon but Creator. And I've been working for over 20 years And I've been teaching people spiritual truth, which is also a material energy manipulation in every field. So spiritual enlightenment means not only one's understanding of Creator himself, but it is also manipulating Creator's energy for the benefit of all. This is very important, that we would begin to cherish energy that we receive from Creator every single moment. That our mind should be not contaminated, poisoned by bad thoughts, that our flesh would not be polluted, contaminated with bad food, that our decisions would always be Creator, the cursor of our decision should be always directed to Creator, that we would always choose right and goodness rather than evil and wrong. So all this must be presented by spiritual teachers, that people would begin to distinguish what is right and what is wrong, what is evil and what is goodness, what is spiritual and what is from Creator and what is not, what is most probably being presented by false, fake teachers to mislead you. Spiritual action is the core of man's material civilization, as it is being given by Creator himself and by Creator's providence. You cannot be good without first discovering Creator within. And without Creator, you will get lost in this world and on this planet. Therefore, you should always keep in mind that Creator's providence is assisting us every time we find ourselves in some difficulties, in some critical situations. This is the Brotherhood that is in action. And Creator's evolution, which is meant for the whole of creation, is based on Creator's love in active brotherhood. So on our world, we have just the very initial stage that we might cooperate with other mortals as our brethren, but plus including this invisible collective given to our support and assistance also as our brethren. And this is the plan of Creator for us mortals, that we would expand our outlook on spiritual level and begin to expand our way of thinking, that we are not alone on this planet, that we have our invisible brethren rendered to our assistance and support, and that we would also begin to desire a real and living cooperation with them. Therefore, just trust my words, but if you sincerely try to check them, so do test it. Test it by your sincere prayers, that you would be shown some assistance on the part of the Providence in your lives. And with time, you will arrive at your understanding that you have heard the word of truth from my lips, being spoken to you in love that I have been receiving from Creator, who is the source and center of love. Therefore, I leave you in Creator's peace and bliss in my brotherly and fatherly embrace.